Live from WTOC, the Southeast news leader. The News Now starts on WTOC Plus.
Thanks for joining us here on WTOC Plus. I'm digital anchor Jude Binkley, joined with meteorologist Andrew Gorton. Andrew, waking up this morning, driving into work, drove through a little bit of rain. It sounds like we're tracking some scattered showers throughout the area. What should we expect?
Yeah, some of that rain's coming through today. Just sent a new video in the WTOC weather app as well. This moisture kind of pushing on through the area. We've got the clouds, so it's cloudier than it was yesterday. We started out warmer, but the highs themselves going to be cooler than yesterday. So this is kind of that transition day to colder air coming in later this week. So lots to talk about. So let's take a look at that 12-hour rain forecast. Pop it on your screen now. You can see it's relatively high as we go into the early afternoon. Rain chance going down tonight. Let's take a look at where we're seeing showers now. Not much happening in the Savannah area, the Beaufort area, but you go inland, you see those yellows, and that moisture is coming into Metter right now. So if you're traveling I-16 going westbound toward Macon, you're going to encounter that moisture. This is a live look at the radar, 1104. Metter back over towards Swainsboro, very damp into Soperton, Glenwood, Vidalia, Montgomery, Toombs County. Reedsville, you're getting rain now or about to, in Claxton. Glenville, you guys are up next. Looking at the rain, the heaviest rain is going to stay along and north of I-16, so really good rain going to come in here to the farmland of Bullitt County, up toward Sylvania as well. And a bigger picture shows this in motion. You've got that moisture that's lifting north. So the heaviest rain looks like it's going to go up more so toward the Hampton County area. It's not moving due east like sometimes these fronts do. That heavier rain's getting pushed up to the north. So for your lunchtime, we're seeing that rain chance a little bit higher than where it's at right now because that band itself is coming into the region. And you can see there your temperatures in the 50s, which is below average for this time of the year through the afternoon. Future satellite and radar shows that moisture coming through the Savannah area as we go through lunchtime. After 2-3 o'clock, a lot of that moisture pulls offshore, and we've got quieter weather tonight. Yes, we could still have some isolated showers into the evening, but that's a really minimal chance right now. Next 3 days, every day here kind of features something different. We've got the rain chance today, the wind, and the fire risk tomorrow, then the cold on Friday. So talking about Thursday first, it's going to be windy and the air is going to be very dry. So not much moisture in the air at all. So that increases the risk for fires. And some counties, at least one, has already put a burn ban out. So just be mindful of that. Highs only in the 40s, gust 20 to 30. And then, of course, the cold on Friday. Let's talk about your Thursday, though. Breezy. Wind gusts sustained 10 to 15 or so, gust 20 to 30. It's going to be a very windy, breezy day. Then we get into Friday, that wind bringing in, advecting in the colder, the drier air. So thankfully for Friday morning, the wind comes down a bit, but the actual temperatures, since the air is so dry, kind of being allowed to go down there into the upper teens for some inland areas, lower 20s for Savannah. 23, if we get down to that point in Savannah, would be the coldest morning of the season. Colder than I think we got last year. So it's going to be chilly, of course, warranting that first alert weather day going into Friday. Now this weekend, we briefly will warm up on Saturday. It's a little interesting looking at your 7-day here because we've got a bunch of different colors. I'm going to explain it to you. 60 Saturday, so we warm up. That's a good day to get outside. Some question marks for Sunday. Just being transparent, some of the bigger global models trying to bring in wintry precipitation. But what you see here is a low rain chance Sunday, and also your morning low of 36 being, of course, then above freezing. So the chance of that happening is pretty limited right now. And if that's happening during the morning at the coldest point, it's going to only get warmer thereafter. So we're not looking at much of a travel impact. But I would say, maybe a little bit before sunrise till about 9 o'clock or so in the morning. Sunday's kind of that focal point we're going to be looking at. At this point, we don't even have that as a first alert day because it doesn't look like we would have accumulations or travel impacts. So good news there, something to keep watch very closely though. And then as we get into Monday, a lot of people outside. Normally, we wouldn't do a first alert day for 27, but with thousands of people that are going to be outside for the MLK Day parade in Savannah and elsewhere across the area, it's going to be very cold for prepping in the morning. Temperatures are going to be feeling like the 30s at 10 o'clock when that parade is stepping off. So just want people to be aware it's going to be very cold, and we keep it below average going into the middle of next week as well. So A little bit more active. It doesn't mean anything severe, but just overall more active as we go into really the next 7 days.
Gotcha. The return of Frozen Fred. Should also mention for the MLK parade, if you don't want to, brave the cold, we will have it right here on TV on WTOC, as well as we'll be streaming it right here on WTOC Plus. Andrew, appreciate you mentioning the burn bans. Obviously, Vidalia put out one, but I work on the web team after I'm done with all these shows, and the number of fires we've been seeing recently, house fires. I think we had 2 alone in Beaufort County just yesterday. So. Those fire risks are really high, even though the temperatures are cold. Maybe not something you necessarily think about, but just be careful, especially with those space heaters. Never plug them into the electrical strips, plug them straight into the wall. Just reminders like that. A lot of fire departments put them out too, but just another thing to be cognizant of this time of year.
And burn bans don't necessarily mean you can't grill or can't have your little fire pit in the backyard, but you need to be very careful because the fuel for that fire, including your yard, is a little bit higher right now. I guess more potent is a good way to say it. And some people still, if you do smoke and you don't want to throw them out the window, things like that, because that's how you get those little fires on the side of the road. And those can turn in pretty big pretty quickly, especially with winds of 20, 30 miles an hour for tomorrow. So not recommending you do any of that. Just be mindful of that. And of course, if your county does have a burn ban and you get caught burning trash, burning leaves, burning whatever, you could pay a decent little fine too.
Yeah. Some good reminders there. Andrew, thanks for joining us with that forecast here. All right, well, we are going to continue with our top headlines of the day here on WTOC Plus. Savannah police are investigating an early morning shooting. Here's what we know. This was the scene at Carver Heights just a couple of hours ago this morning. At around 4:30, SPD responded to a shooting near Blunt Avenue and Cubage Street. A man was taken to the hospital with injuries. We don't know a whole lot about this incident right now, so make sure you stick with us throughout the day on this developing story. All right, in politics, we do have more details after state lawmakers approved a bill allowing residents to sue local governments over gun ordinances. Savannah's Mayor Van Johnson is now weighing in. Now, the city of Savannah passed a gun ordinance back in 2024. That law punishes people who leave their loaded firearms in an unlocked car. Mayor Van Johnson says the city saw a 30% drop in gun thefts since that ordinance was introduced. When asked if cities should have more flexibility than the state when dealing with local crime trends, he said that lawmakers don't always see the realities that city leaders face when it comes to gun violence.
Instead of looking at it from a 30,000-foot view, looks at it from the eyes of people like me in cities who go to crime scenes where we see guns that have been acquired illegally, or suicides where guns have been acquired illegally, or little kids who shoot themselves or bring guns to school from guns that have been acquired illegally.
Now, that bill allows anyone cited under the ordinance to sue the city within a year of citation. That legislation will now head to Governor Kemp. It passed the House at the very end of last session, passed the Senate this week during the opening week of the legislature. In the meantime, Mayor Johnson says he's reviewing the city's options for a Plan B. Well, the national ICE operations are also getting the attention of lawmakers right here in the Peach State. Democrats are rolling out bills limiting how the agency would be able to operate in the state of Georgia. But as State House reporter Abby Kasoris reports, Republicans have largely dismissed those concerns.
No ICE! No ICE! No murders! No murder! No murders!
They stepped to the Georgia Capitol filled with lawmakers, advocates, and families holding signs and demanding change. Among the crowd, Mildred Pierre, holding a photo of her husband, Rodney Taylor, currently in ICE custody at Stewart Detention Center.
The gentlemen did not have any markings on their bulletproof vests. It was scary because they all had their guns, and my kids were in the car.
Pierre says officers arrived in unmarked vehicles, most wearing masks. She says they took her husband into custody without a warrant, leaving her children terrified.
We have PTSD as a result.
Lawmakers here pointed to a recent incident in Minneapolis where ICE agents fatally shot a local woman, an event that's drawn national scrutiny and renewed calls for oversight.
Repeat after me. No ICE! No ICE! No ICE!
Their proposals would require ICE agents to identify themselves, restrict National Guard deployment without state approval, make ICE agents liable, and restrict enforcement in sensitive locations.
To end the terror, to end the fear.
Less than 2 hours later, Republican Senate leaders took the same steps, pushing back.
ICE agents, like any other law enforcement agency, they can already be exposed to civil liability if they should do an action that is in violation of a law. As far as wearing of tactical gear, whether it be a mask, a helmet, or anything else, that is a decision made based case by case, and the supervisors make those determinations. Not a group of legislators sitting in an air-conditioned and heated room in the middle of Atlanta.
Abby Kasoris, Atlanta News First.
And staying in the State House, a bill to restrict what you can buy with SNAP benefits has now been proposed this session. The proposal looks to keep, quote, low nutrient, high sugar, and artificially sweetened foods out of grocery carts. It would only let you buy a certain amount of things like soda, juice, and energy drinks. Similar changes went into effect January 1st across 5 other states in the U.S. This bill would also require SNAP recipients to recertify every 12 months around their birthday. Roughly 1 in 8 Georgians use the SNAP program. Back here on the coast, Bryan County leaders heard from supporters of a major nickel refinery. Westwind Element says that it's considering Richmond Hill as a potential site for that refinery. A few details were presented to county leaders during last night's commission meeting. The project wasn't even on the agenda. However, supporters used the public comment period to present the commission with a petition with more than 3,000 signatures in support of the project. They shared that the project will have a positive impact on the local economy and workforce, adding 800 jobs over 7 years.
I'm very much in support of Westman Elements. I think that there's a future there. I think there's a future there for my son. I think that there's a future there with the community. There are untold opportunities for internships and co-op partnerships.
So for me and my perspective, all I would ask is the county, and perhaps even in cooperation with the city, to take a second look.
County leaders say they want more time to research the plan since it wasn't on the agenda last night. Commissioners did share a few concerns like pending lawsuits and national security. They hope to cover the topic more thoroughly at another meeting. In health news, doctors here in Georgia have been warning of a severe flu season. We're hearing from Dr. Andy Shane, the chief of pediatric epidemiology at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. Now, Dr. Shane says they're seeing high rates of flu transmission, especially here in Georgia. She even said that the rates were the highest among children in the past several years. She says there are concerning trends this season, including a drop in flu vaccination rates, but there are still steps you can take to protect yourself.
We had an earlier start to our flu season this year in Georgia, and so I think that caught many people unprepared. And so we really encourage people to get vaccinated. It's not too late to get vaccinated. We often see a second peak in late January and early February with another strain of the flu virus. And so that strain is included in the current flu vaccine. And so we would really recommend that everybody 6 months of age and older get a flu vaccine if you haven't been vaccinated so far this season.
Dr. Shane said it's imperative for pregnant women to get vaccinated. She said she's already seen several young babies hospitalized with the flu so far, and the best way to protect them is for the mother to get the vaccine. All right, moving now to news out of the Palmetto State. Yesterday was day 1 of South Carolina's legislative session. State lawmakers returned to Columbia, launching their 2026 agendas, taking on a range of issues, and abortion laws are already center stage at the State House. State House reporter Stephen Biddix explains 2 proposed bills that would drastically alter reproductive rights in South Carolina.
South Carolina's heartbeat law has been in effect since 2023, but on day 1 of the 2026 legislative session, some lawmakers are already proposing another full abortion ban.
It is equal protection's premise that murdering anyone should be illegal for everyone.
Lawmakers proposed a new abortion ban on the first day of South Carolina's legislative session. It grants civil and criminal protections to an unborn child at any stage of development. The bill allows one exception if the mother's life is at risk. Representative Rob Harris of Spartanburg supports the newly filed bill.
Clearly, life begins at conception and should be protected from that point on. In 2023, the legislature and governor revised the heartbeat law, which simply regulates abortion.
If abortion would have been legally deemed murder in my state of Texas, I would have never put my body on that table. And neither would any of you women.
Opponents say another abortion bill is no surprise, and it's their body, so their choice.
What I heard today was a lot of misinformation about who gets abortions, why they get abortions, and under what circumstances women should get the death penalty.
The same group of lawmakers wants to outlaw medical abortions using medication like mifepristone. Senate Republican leadership has recently said these pills are a concern and could get involved.
We must end the innocent murder of the preborn, and if we do, there's hope.
Those who oppose these bans argue these medications and procedures are safe.
Medication abortion is safe. It's been around for 25 years. Having an abortion is safe.
Lawmakers will hold a 2-hour hearing tomorrow
at noon, with each bill getting 1 hour of that time. Reporting from the State House, I'm Stephen Biddix.
All right, well, early voting is underway in McIntosh County over a zoning ordinance that would impact Sapelo Island. You may recall county leaders changed the zoning rules so bigger houses could be built in the hog hammock community. Gullah Geechee people are concerned the change would price them out of their homes, impacting the area's history. They gained enough signatures to force a countywide vote or a referendum to throw out that new rule. Early voting will be held today, tomorrow, and Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The special election will be held on Tuesday. All polls will be open that day from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. as well. All right, in sports news, a familiar face has returned to Flowery Branch. Falcons legend Matt Ryan was introduced as the team's president of football yesterday. The former NFL MVP and franchise quarterback is moving to the front office, taking on this new role, which is focused on setting the direction for the organization.
It's helping us win, and winning the right way with the right people. My role and my responsibility in that is different than it was during my time here before.
Ryan's first steps as president of football will be helping the team find a new general manager and head coach. Those two people will report straight to them. All right, more controversy this morning in high school sports surrounding the Gainesville High School football program. The Georgia High School Association has stripped the school of its Class 5A state runner-up title. The school confirms it used an ineligible player during its semifinal win over Rome last month. Gainesville says the student entered the game in the fourth quarter when the Red Elephants had a big lead. The school called it a miscommunication. The player was technically approved to be on the team, but not for postseason play. On top of vacating its appearance in the state championship game, the school will also face a fine. They did have a slew of suspensions, which some of them were reversed following this on-field brawl against Brunswick High School earlier in the postseason.
We are photographers.
All right, well, there was a very excited crowd in downtown Savannah for a Tuesday night. They're cheering on the newly named contestants for Brightside Advocacy during Dancing with Savannah Stars. The annual event is getting a rebrand this year to Savannah's Got Talent to include a little more than just dancing.
This is our largest fundraiser of the year. It's what we raise over $200,000 every year to support children in foster care in Chatham County. So that's why this fundraiser is so important. And we love seeing our community come together, fundraise, and also just have a blast.
And one of the contestants is representing WTOC. Our very own Low Country reporter, Aaron Dixon's competing. The big show is in May at Victory North. Tickets are on sale now, and they do go pretty quickly. I said this at the 10 o'clock, but I was talking to Aaron yesterday, who was in the newsroom, and he did a lot of choir growing up, but not much of a dancer. He is going to be dancing in the competition. He's got a coach and everything. I think he found out his partner yesterday, so he's putting a lot of effort into it, all for this charitable cause. I'm excited to see him dance during that show coming up in a couple of months, so best of luck to you, Aaron. All right, and with that, we're going to wrap things up here for the news on WTOC Plus. We appreciate y'all spending part of your morning with us. We'll be back in just about 40 minutes for the news at noon with Joe Hennessy and Mike Sela. And in the meantime, you can always head on over to our website to get the latest updates at WTOC.com. Thanks for watching, and here's Local News Live.